Urgent. Warriors make final decision about Kuminga. If you are a Warriors fan and are lost with everything they are doing with Kuminga, this video is for you. We see the kid flying on the court, but out of nowhere, news comes, rumors come, board decision comes, and what's left? Anxiety, anger, and that feeling that the team might be throwing its future away. Calm. Today, I'm going to show you what's really happening, what this final decision was about Kuminga, what it says about the Warriors' direction, and most importantly, whether or not you need to worry about his departure. So get ready, because in the next few minutes you will stop living on rumors and you will truly understand the scenario behind this bomb. Before we get into this bombastic decision, quickly, if you love the Warriors, follow every game, every rumor, and experience this emotional roller coaster with Kuminga, you can strengthen yourself here. Subscribe to the channel because every day there is no nonsense analysis, just the way fans like it. Leave a like because this shows YouTube that there are active Warriors fans in Brazil and it delivers this content to more people. Activate the bell so you don't miss any updates, because when news like this breaks, you know, whoever sees it first, comments first. And look, don't skip, don't leave the video now, because in a few seconds, I'll tell you exactly what this decision means for the future of Kuminga and the team. Let's go together until the end to understand if the Warriors are building a new super team or digging their own hole. The Golden State Warriors made a decision that will most likely mark the rest of this decade. And I don't say that to create gratuitous drama. It is quite possible that, in the future, when we look back, we will point to this moment as the true end of an era that changed the history of the NBA. I want you to stay with me until the end, because what's at stake here isn't just a trade, a roster adjustment, or a behind-the-scenes whim. It's the identity of an entire franchise built over years being put to the test before our eyes. Welcome back to the channel, Warriors fans. If you follow every game, feel every defeat like a punch in the stomach and every victory like a relief, this video is for you. Today, let's talk calmly, step by step, about everything behind this possible goodbye to Jonathan Kuminga and what it really means for the future of the Golden State Warriors. It is no exaggeration to say that we have reached breaking point. For months now, the feeling has been that something doesn't fit, that the squad is out of alignment, that the team doesn't know whether it's playing for now or for 5 years from now. And Kuminga, whether you like his style or not, is at the center of this dilemma. Before talking about the Phoenix Suns, Grayson Allen, trade proposals, and league deadlines, we need to take a step back. We need to understand the emotional and sporting context of this season. When you sit down to watch a Warriors game today, what do you see? A contender that just needs one piece to go back to fighting on equal terms with the Celtics and Nuggets, or a team that insists on reliving a glorious past without accepting that the clock has ticked, that bodies have aged, and that the league has changed. If we are honest, most fans who honestly follow the team know the answer. Today's Warriors look much more like a team caught between two worlds than a powerhouse in full dominance. For more than 10 years, we have seen one of the greatest dynasties in recent NBA history. Titles, finals, unlikely comebacks, three-point records, historic seasons. It was so natural to see the team winning that it seemed like this phase would never end. But time is relentless. Stephen Curry is no longer the young man who ran in loops without stopping behind the three-point line. He's still brilliant. He's still capable of changing a game in just a few minutes, but the body feels it. Draymond Green remains intelligent, vocal, competitive, but the physical explosiveness is no longer the same. Players who were once the team's defensive engine are now struggling to keep up with increasingly stronger and faster wingers. And the supporting cast lives in extremes, either veteran players trying to prolong their relevance, or young green players, learning amidst the chaos of a season that doesn't forgive mistakes. This puts Golden State in a place that any franchise fears: competitive limbo. It's not a weak enough team to dismantle everything and start a complete reconstruction, but it's also not strong enough to seriously place itself as a title contender. The results on the court mirror this. An irregular campaign, oscillating between hopeful games and defeats that expose structural problems, improbable victories against stronger opponents, followed by stumbles against teams that theoretically should be beaten. In the attack, we still see sparks of that and brilliance that brought titles. moments when Curry enters a state of grace, the ball turns, the movement without the ball works, the system flows. But these moments became islands. They exist, but they are increasingly rare and difficult to sustain for 48 minutes. In defense, the situation is even more worrying. Athletic wings attack the rim with ease. The bottle protection oscillates. The ability to adjust to each possession, which has always been a hallmark of this team, seems diluted. Legs are missing, lacks consistency. In the midst of all this, Steve Kerr continues to look for solutions. He tests quintets, mixes veterans and youngsters, changes minutes, changes the bench. It's not by omission. It's out of silent desperation. He tries to find a combination that returns identity to the team, but each adjustment seems to take a toll on another sector of the team. And that's exactly where Jonathan Kuminga comes in. Kuminga is not just any name. He was presented as a symbol of transition, as the link between the champion past and a competitive future. A young man with a privileged physique, ability to attack the rim, potential to guard various positions, and flashes of a player capable of impacting the game on both sides of the court. When this season started, there was a very clear feeling, now go. He returned to the starting lineup, in theory with more confidence, more space, and a defined role. The message seemed to be, you are part of our plan. We want you to grow here. For a few weeks, everything indicated that this bet could pay off. There were games in which Kuminga was aggressive, attacked the rim, made good defensive readings, brought energy and vitality to a squad that often seemed emotionally heavy. There were mistakes, of course, but there was also progress, until the series of defeats came, the pressure came, and along with it came the old pattern, changing the rotation, cutting minutes, sending the young man to the bench again. And, once again, Kuminga found himself in the role of secondary protagonist, important enough to be charged, but apparently expendable enough to be put aside when things get tough. This wears on any player, especially one who knows he has potential and whose name is constantly involved in trade rumors. It's important to be fair. Kuminga is far from perfect. He makes bad decisions, strength throws, shuts down on some defensive possessions. This irritates the fans, bothers the coaching staff, and brings natural criticism. But at the same time, we can't forget he's 23 years old. A player of that age, inserted in the context of a team that is still trying to compete for something big, will make mistakes. Development does not happen in a straight line. It is unrealistic to expect from a young person the same level of reading, patience, and emotional control as a veteran with more than 10 seasons under his belt. The problem is that the Warriors can't seem to decide who they want Kuminga to be. At times, the message is, be aggressive, attack, create your game. In others, it is, don't go too far out of the system, move the ball, don't break the flow. Sometimes people talk about him as a future defensive pillar. Sometimes errors in marking are used to justify reduced drafts. In certain games, he is praised for the energy he brings. In others, he spends long periods on the bench, while the team suffers precisely in areas where he could help. This back and forth is not just tactical, it is psychological. No player fully blossoms when he doesn't clearly understand what the team expects of him. And this is a point that weighs heavily in the analysis. The feeling is that the organization, as a whole, has never found a consistent way to invest in Kuminga's evolution. It's no surprise, then, that rumors about his dissatisfaction have gained traction. There is talk of frustration, a feeling of devaluation, a perception that mistakes made by young people are more prominent than mistakes made by veterans. And here, it takes courage to admit something. The difference in treatment exists. When an established player has a bad night, the speech tends to be about confidence, leadership, history. When a young man like Kuminga fails, the not ready label appears quickly. This accumulation of discomfort deteriorates relationships. There comes a time when both parties begin to wonder if it would be better to go their separate ways. And that's exactly where we've arrived. While the Warriors try to figure out who they are, other teams are watching. In the NBA, any sign of a fissure in a relationship between a franchise and a talented young player becomes an opportunity. And it's not every season that a 23-year-old player, athletic, versatile, and with the potential to grow into the role of a strong winger, becomes even theoretically available for conversation. Among these interested teams, one name clearly stands out: Phoenix Suns. The Suns, who for years bet on super team formulas, betting big on veteran names, made a turn in direction. Instead of insisting on shortcuts, he started to reformulate its identity. The arrival of a younger coach with modern ideas and the choice to build around Devin Booker with more athletic and developable pieces changed the atmosphere in the franchise. The team started to play at a faster pace, to value defense, to give players space to grow within the system. There are still adjustments to be made, but the feeling is of a project with a defined path. And within this project, there is a lack of someone with Kuminga's profile. A wing capable of running the court, attacking the rim, exchanging defensive markings, accompanying wingers and pivots in exchange situations, being a spearhead in transition and, over time, improving offensive reading. It is no coincidence that, in the off-season, the Suns approached the Warriors in search of Kuminga. There was a proposal. There was interest. At that moment, Golden State chose to decline. It still made sense to insist on his development internally, believing that he could be that thread of continuity between Curry's present and the future. But the season brought harsh answers. The team did not establish itself as a candidate. Structural problems became more visible. The relationship with the player became complicated. And today, the exchange that previously seemed unthinkable is beginning to be treated as a concrete possibility. On the Suns' side, there is one piece in particular that makes this scenario very plausible: Grayson Allen. Allen is experiencing, under the new system, the best moment of his career. He converts three-pointers with high frequency and excellent use, contributes as a secondary creator, dedicates himself to defense, and understands his role within a competitive team. For a Warriors still trying to get the most out of Curry's last few years at a high level, a player like that is extremely attractive. He spaces the court, opens the way for infiltrations, punishes defenses that double up on Curry, and is intelligent enough to keep the attack working even when the ball passes through other players' hands. No one is saying that Grayson Allen is the new Klay Thompson, but you can't help but notice functional similarities. A reliable, solid shooter who knows how to move without the ball, doesn't monopolize possessions, and contributes within the system. He's exactly the type of complementary piece that can raise a team's ceiling in the short term. On the one hand, then, we have a Warriors trying to prolong their immediate competitive window. On the other, a Suns looking to the next 5, 6, 7 years and imagining a young core led by Booker and surrounded by athletes with potential for evolution, including Kuminga. It's not just a change of players, it's a change of priorities. Golden State would choose now. Phoenix would choose tomorrow. There is also the bureaucratic component. Kuminga can only be traded after a certain date due to the league's contract rules. This creates a sort of silent countdown. As the calendar progresses, conversations take place. Scenarios are tested. Proposals are simulated. Reports indicate that the Suns are positioning themselves to be ready at the exact moment the trade becomes viable. The idea would be to put together a package around Grayson Allen, possibly including draft picks and young people with interesting potential, to convince the Warriors that, given what the season showed, this would be a rational way out. And looking from the outside, it is easy to understand why so many people see this possibility as real. The Suns gain a young winger to mold within their project. The Warriors gain a player ready to contribute immediately, plus assets that can be used in future moves or internal development. But behind all this logic, there is a deeper wound that cannot be ignored. If this exchange comes to fruition, it will also be an admission of failure. It will mean recognizing that the franchise failed to build the necessary environment for Jonathan Kuminga to become what was expected of him in Golden State. There was a lack of role clarity, there was a lack of patience, there was a lack of continuity. It's hard to accept this when it comes to such a successful organization, which got so many strategic decisions right. However, no franchise, no matter how winning, is immune to mistakes in the development of young people. For the fan, the perspective is also complex. Trading a 23-year-old player with clear potential for immediate help is assuming that the priority is to extract everything possible from Curry and the veteran core in the short term, even if the cost is reaching the end of this era without a successor ready to take the lead. On the other hand, maintaining Kuminga without a profound change in the way it is used and developed could mean prolonging a situation that has already proven exhausting and unproductive for both. It's a crossroads. There is no perfect path. There is only the path that best aligns with the franchise's vision of itself and what you want to be in a few years. For the Suns, the scenario is completely different. Kuminga's eventual arrival would have a symbolic and sporting impact. It would be a clear sign of commitment to a long-term project, of patient construction, of betting on a player who is still far from his ceiling. Can you imagine what it would mean for a team that spent so much time oscillating between dashed hopes and new beginnings to see a young winger of that level flourish in a Phoenix shirt? It would send a message to the entire league that the team is not just seeking fleeting relevance, but trying to build something lasting. And then we return to the question that needs to be asked, even if it hurts. Are the Golden State Warriors willing to see this evolution happen elsewhere? The truth is, whatever the outcome, there will be pain. If the trade happens, there will be the anguish of watching a talent that could have been established at home shine away from the Bay Area. If it doesn't happen and everything remains as it is, the frustration of a worn-out relationship can continue to grow until it explodes in an even more traumatic way. We have therefore reached the point where the discussion is no longer just about statistics, minutes, or technical fit. It's about a project, a philosophy, and the courage to make a decision that will define the direction of the franchise for many years to come. That's why I want to hear from you. If you could sit in Golden State's command chair today, what would you do? Would you accept a proposal that sent Kuminga to Phoenix in exchange for Grayson Allen and other assets, assuming once and for all that the focus is on the short term? Or would you insist on keeping him, demanding a profound reorganization of the way he is used, believing that the future of the franchise necessarily involves a young winger with high potential? More than that, what does this whole situation say about the franchise's ability to develop young talent and transition between eras in a healthy way? Are we facing an isolated stumble or a symptom of something more structural? I want you to leave your opinion in the comments, calmly, with arguments, with sincerity. This is the kind of decision that divides fans, but it's also the kind of debate that shows how much we still care about this team. And if you want to continue following every step of this soap opera, every behind-the-scenes news, every game that could directly influence Jonathan Kuminga's future in Golden State, I invite you to stay here on the channel. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and share this content with other Warriors fans you know. The more people are reflecting on this moment, the richer the discussion becomes. Here, the idea is always to go beyond the surface. It's not just about reading headlines and repeating rumors. It's about understanding, together, what's at stake for a franchise that marked an era and now needs to decide what story it wants to tell in the next chapters. Thanks for getting this far. See you in the next video, with more analyses, updates, and certainly new developments in this situation that could redefine the path of our Dub Nation. So that's it. Like it or not, the truth is that what the Warriors decide to do with Jonathan Kuminga is not just another roster move. It's a kind of definitive test. Either the franchise learns to deal with its own future, or it accepts once and for all, growing old, clinging to the past. And when this decision is announced, be it exchange or permanence, there will be no going back. The narrative of the coming years has already begun to be written now, given everything we are seeing. If you've made it this far, it's because you really care about the Golden State. So don't stop with this video. If you want to continue understanding, in detail, every step of this soap opera, every tactical adjustment, every sign that the franchise is going one way or the other, the next step is clear. As soon as you close this video, you will go directly to the Warriors Analyses playlist in the pinned comment. There I go deeper into everything we talked about here. The team's drop in performance, the real impact of each player on the rotation, possible exchanges, and what each scenario means for the future of the franchise. If you want to stop being just a spectator of the headlines and start understanding what's happening inside, this playlist is your next destination. Click on Warriors Analysis in the pinned comment, stay with me on this journey, and we will follow. step by step, what could be the most decisive chapter of the Warriors era. The story is changing now. Don't be left out.